Welcome back, everybody. I am finally down here at Merida, Mexico at our house. Perfect timing to do a live stream because I am looking outside and it's pouring down rain. So why not go ahead and do this? If you guys notice that there's a lot of sound kind of resonating in here, the reason for that is I'm actually upstairs in our little apartment area. My kids are watching a show downstairs. The kitchen's already down there and that kind of thing. And then the bedroom that normally has the better background, my wife is working in. So I am just hanging out here in a couple of days, have a couple of guests coming in, so they'll be taking over the bedrooms, and my office will be forced to be somewhere else. But I figured this is as good a time as any. We've got the hats in the background. Not my choice, but a couple of them fit me, so we'll just call that a little bit of a win. And I figured why not go ahead and just broadcast while we're here. I've got my computer open literally right here in front of me. So if we have any questions or concerns or anything like that, we can talk. But honestly, I'm just kind of excited to be back here and hanging out with you guys. So I hope we enjoy that kind of thing. Tim, what's going on, man? It's good to see you. I'm going to try to communicate via text and and over this for a bit. I have finally, I think, oh, now it's really pouring down rain. I finally kind of gotten used to everybody being like everything kind of calming down a bit, which is nice. So being down here has been pretty fun, but this is just going to be a live broadcast like we normally do. With, for those of you who don't know, had a lot of sickness kind of over the last year. Some dizzy spells, a couple of panic attacks that were horrific. If anybody ever says that they had a panic attack and they don't look like they had a heart attack, I don't know what they had because that's exactly what it felt like, but that kind of caused some migraine issues and stuff like that. But we're here, we're back. I haven't really had any episodes here so far, which has been awesome. I was a little bit worried about it when we were flying down. So Tim, just waiting for my plumber today. Eladios tomorrow. Let me see. Eladios does sound good tomorrow. It should work, actually. We're trying to figure out right now. Today would have been the perfect day to go. We were thinking about taking the kids to the harbor and watching a movie, but we thought the Ninja Turtle movie was going to be broadcast down here, and it didn't end up showing up. So I don't know what happened. It's all good, though. For those of you who are here, if you don't mind clicking the like button, and if you guys have any questions, just go to the chat feature, and you guys can ask me any questions that you might have. But that was the plan. Ladio should work tomorrow unless we're shifting our today plans over to tomorrow. So hopefully that'll work out. But yeah, I mean, it's right around the corner, so it'd be perfect. I think we're just getting a normal Yucatan drenching right now. It was a little bit hard water, a little bit hard rain, and then all of a sudden it let up. But we'll see what happens. Man, last night, I put this on the Instagram, which, as you guys know, is Alexander from KC, like Kansas City. But I put it on Instagram. We went to Bacchus last night, which I don't know exactly how long it's been around, but we talked to the owner for quite some time. Man, they've got charcuterie board, to me, is always like Lunchables that's fancy. But some of the stuff that this guy brought out was absolutely incredible. And Bacchus is, it's a wine bar, but they have that. He had some pasta. It was like fusilini and sausage. And the thing that was amazing to me, he had this, he brought out bread to start, and he had this spread that was made out of like banana pepper, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, but I tasted it, and it had an amazing flavor, but it also had this heat that just kept going. So if you guys want to know where that is, just check out the Instagram, because I put the location on there. You guys can find it pretty easily, but oh my goodness, it was absolutely amazing. Tim, give me a time and I'll be there. That sounds good, man. Absolutely. I'm excited to do it. We actually haven't even stopped by Eladios. We toured the block. I can't remember the name of the place now, but we went to the place right across from Wayane. It was interesting. The food, I wasn't a big fan of the food. The biggest issue that I had, though, was they have 3 tables, 4 tables, something like that. I don't mind that at all. Small places are awesome. But it was really tough to get in there, and even when there was nobody there, they didn't really seem like they wanted us to sit there. So that was a little bit of an interesting thing. But we got some food. My wife really liked it. They had some queso chorizo that was really good, but I probably won't be heading back. But Eladio sounds like a good place to be. Fred, how's it going, man? Your health issues, how comfortable are you with medical services available to you in Merida? Thanks for doing your show. House looks great. Thank you so much, Fred. Actually, I'm really comfortable with it. So the health system down here is obviously, going to be catered to the people that live here. But when we first started coming down, we had a long conversation with our realtor. My wife was in and out with several, I say in and out, that sounds wrong, but my wife was having a lot of conversations with people to kind of get her mentality here because our worry wasn't necessarily us. I just, naive as that might seem, our worry was more like we want to make sure that we're in a place where our kids are good. And because as a parent, that's your number one priority, right? And they talked to us about Star Medica. They talked to us about some of the services. And as this channel started growing, I had a few conversations with others that had been down here, whether they were traveling or permanent residents or whatever it might be. And every single person that I talked to seemed to have a really good, I won't necessarily say familiarity, but they had had very good experiences down here. And especially in Merida, where you've got a city that's this big, that they have the facilities. And the one thing that I always say is when it comes to a facility that if something happens to me that I would like to be transferred to, it's Star Medica. Just because looking into that hospital, and I get so sidetracked on everything down here, just trying to learn as much as I can. But it seems like it is one of the best facilities here. And so if anything happens, I know that, it's a drive across town because it's closer to the north. It is in the north area, and it's not close to us because we're more in the central area. But I know that that's a really good place to go. So I don't ever honestly have any concerns medically, knock on, I guess, courts right now. But I personally don't have any issues when I think about that stuff. What I will say is that also took a lot of conversations to get that confident in it. And I still don't feel like I'm 100% there yet. But to answer your question in like a real quick, like bloop, that's a weird word. Yes, I am confident in it. And with my issue, like basically what happened is November of last year, I had what they determined was a panic attack at my lake house. Now, my lake house, if you want to talk about places where you don't really want to be, is the Lake of the Ozarks, and especially our side, where we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. And so it took when it started, when we contacted, and when I got to a hospital, it was at least 2 hours. And luckily, it was a panic attack. The only thing they were trying to calm down was my heart rate. And it was just kind of a cluster, but we had good people near us. We just couldn't get an ambulance there really fast. So that was a big pain in the behind. But at the same time, once we realized that, it just kind of was what it was. Then I had another one when I was in town. Luckily, I was meeting a friend of mine for lunch, and he drove me to the hospital, which was about 2 minutes away. And I was good to go. But it was just one of those things where like I've had to kind of meet with a lot of different people. And I don't think, let me put this on silent. Sorry, guys. I don't think in my particular situation that I would have been in any better position there or here, except for maybe communication, which is the reason why I feel like I owe it to myself and I owe it to the people here that I interact with to continue to learn as much Spanish as I possibly can. I was doing a really good job this year once I was home for a while because of that, getting into it. And then I probably pushed off about the last 3 or 4 months since my kids got out of school and that kind of thing. But I've noticed that especially reading has been a lot easier. I've noticed that basic communication, like me trying to say something, has been a lot easier. But once you're down here, especially when you're in an area where it's Yucatan and it's not just, regular Mexico, I shouldn't say regular Mexico, everywhere else in Mexico, there is definitely a Mayan flavor down here that even people that are fluent in Spanish seem to have some issues. We had a friend of ours that was down here last year, very fluent, family here, and still like some issue reading the Yucatecan part of the language. But again, that's just one of those things that kind of comes with the territory, but it's definitely helped a lot. Even just normal phrases, but as far as like communicating health, oh my God, I'd be completely lost. So there's a reason that there's a Google Translate app, and there's a reason that hopefully you have somebody that you're traveling with as well. My wife, when I had my first one, was amazing at kind of relaying everything that I was dealing with. So yeah. But on to happier thoughts. It's been awesome being down here. I don't, for those of you who watched the video first, thank you. Second, you probably saw the fact that when I got down here, there was this kind of weird moment where we walked in the door and we expected everything to be brand new, and it wasn't. And again, like up here, people aren't living here as much. They normally live on the in the basement area, but we really kind of walked in and just were like, oh, there are a few things that aren't exactly what we hoped they still were. Luckily, they kind of got fixed, or they were just wear and tear. Luckily, we're in the first week still, so we're just kind of dealing with that back and forth. But that's the one thing that I've really tried to tell a few people who I've, oh man, it is pouring down rain again. The few people that I've really communicated with a lot is, if you're renting a place, and if I would have been mentally ready for it, I could have handled it. But I was just expecting it to be exactly like it was before. It wasn't, which is completely fine. But if you do have a rental, just understand that that's probably going to happen. Richard, what's going on? We're planning on going to Merida to buy a house, condo. We go to Playa del Carmen. I apologize. Vacation 2 or 3 times a year, but we want to buy a Merida. I can't blame you. So you go to Playa del Carmen. Playa del Carmen has beautiful water. I'm not sure how many times you guys have been to Merida or not. The one thing that I try to get people used to is, and I haven't been to some of these places. I've been to Telchac Puerto, which is off the beaten path from Merida, and it's east of Progreso. It had a beautiful beach. Progreso, we just went there late last week with the kids. Took them up there for a day, stayed at Hotel Playa Linda. It was awesome. But this doesn't have the pretty blue water, but I completely understand wanting to buy in Merida because you pretty much have everything that you could possibly ever need here. So that's awesome. The positive is, once the Mayan train opens, you can go to Playa del Carmen anytime you want. So that's awesome. Richard, again, need help finding a good realtor there. I actually interviewed, so first of all, thank you all for liking. I noticed that that's kind of coming up. If you look back, it's not, I don't want to say it's a recent video because I was still in Kansas City, but if you look back about 2-3 months ago in my videos, just go to my videos and go down, you'll see an interview with Nicholas Sanders. He was actually the realtor that had this place listed. We went through the same company that he works for, but we went through kind of the main realtor, which is Elizabeth Rodriguez, and it's Yucatan Beach and City Property. And if you look it up, it's literally yucatanbeachandcityproperty.com. Nicholas is down here, especially for somebody that's maybe an expat or somebody that's looking for that kind of feel. He's been through that entire process, and so he's incredibly knowledgeable. And his firm kind of, I think that's basically their niche. And they go everywhere from Merida up into all the I don't want to say all the areas in the state of Yucatan, but they cover a wide range. And so I would say, if you really want to look at it, watch that interview. Super knowledgeable guy, very easy to work with. And when it came to this property, even though he was the listing agent, and I apologize if it's getting a little bit harder to hear me, it is pouring down rain. Here, take a look at this. I'll finish up in a second, but check that out. If you guys can see that, it is absolutely pouring down rain. But yeah, so let me get this straight again. On both sides, I've got it going. But he was awesome. So I'd recommend him every day of the week and twice on Sunday. If you join the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/travel, the number 2 Merida, and that's all down in the description below, by the way. So if you look down here, you're going to find that. He's a part of that group and has commented several times. But like I said, I don't think you're going to find somebody that's, everybody has their favorite realtor. For my money, I trust him like crazy. He was incredibly helpful with this house, kind of gave us the knowledge that we kind of needed, and I'm happy that we got hooked up. But again, I messed that up to show you guys the rain, and then all of a sudden everything looks a little wonky now. So I'm gonna keep messing with that camera so that you guys get a good thing. But yeah, so there you go. And again, on that group, just comment if you ever have any questions too, because he's not the only realtor available. Elizabeth's also a part of that group. But like I said, he definitely showed his knowledge. I actually sent him a message yesterday because there's a lot that is just absolutely full of trash about 2.5 blocks from here. And one of the things that I want to do is find, I don't need a big lot, but I'd like to find a lot where eventually I can put, if we get a car, we can park it there. If we get, you know, motorbikes, we can park it there. If I decide that I want to build a small, like, did you guys hear that? That was thunder. It's going crazy here. But if we decide that we want to build a small place to put like a gym or something like that, that's what I want a small lot to be able to do some of that stuff. I asked him what the possibility was for us to see if we knew anybody that owned that lot. And he said, you can find out who owns it. Communicating with them is a difficult thing. So just something to kind of think about. But yeah, it was, that's the next goal. But I definitely recommend him, and just their whole team is, they're awesome. And I'm sure people in the comments and everything too, they can recommend people as well. Tim, what's up? Had a pretty good one. Leroy Osmond at Mexico International. Yeah, exactly. Just what I was saying. I'm sure there are people that can recommend other people as well. And interview. I mean, my God, the one thing that I tell people all the time is to do as I say, not as I do, is we went with the first person we met. And that has just kind of been my thing since I started in business in general. It's burned me very, like, in very rare circumstances has it burned me. But in this situation, we looked up like crazy people that were recommended, went with that person, talked to her on the phone, loved Elizabeth, and then she recommended the architect, Henry Ponce, that we eventually went with, and he was amazing. So we got very lucky, but in any other situation, absolutely, without question, like find Leroy, find Elizabeth, find Nicholas, find all those people, and then interview as many people as you possibly can. Greg, how's it going? Alex, enjoy your videos. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. I'm glad to be able to make them for you guys. It's fantastic. And welcome to the live stream. I hope you're enjoying it. Tim, Vancouver Sunshine, we call it back home. Vancouver Sunshine, I like that. That's nice. Guys, I'm going to go out of frame for just a second, but you're still going to hear me. I want to check on one thing with this house, and that is so you guys probably remember when I first got down here, we had that little bit of a flooding issue for the first like week, and they finally figured out that the water was draining into the drainage basin below our house, but it was creating an air bubble, which was then kind of pushing water up, and it was flooding. Got that figured out, but when I came down here, one of those things that was kind of the, oh no, something happened, was we have a shade in that bedroom, and I noticed that there's water kind of creeping up. Now, it's not water that would be long-term issue, but it's definitely water that got into the house. And now that it's storming, I'm probably going to check that a couple of times to make sure that it's not continuously happening. So if you see me kind of sneaking out, that's about as far as you're going to see me, because I'll know pretty quick. But that's what I'm doing. But guys, thank you so much for being a part of this chat. I really appreciate it. And again, thank you for hitting the like button and all that. But if you guys have any questions while we're on here too, I can look stuff up. It's really easy for me to just switch around and go online and check a few things out. Right now, I'm just kind of sitting here chatting with you. I couldn't go outside and take a run even if I wanted to, because as Tim can probably attest, because he's located down here, it's watering the plants right now. It's definitely going pretty good. So I'm happy to be here with you guys rather than trying to do anything outside. I thought I'd already have a couple of these down by now, to be honest with you, but I must, I didn't drink the regular water. I always drink bottled water, or we have a filtration system throughout the house, and then a double filtration at the refrigerators, and then these little spigots at our faucets and everything. But I'm not a big fan of drinking the water down here for obvious reasons. Montezuma can tell you about it. But I didn't have that kind of issue, but man, like something got to my stomach the other day, and all I've eaten is amazing food. So I hate to think that one of my favorite places decided to try to mortally wound me. That wouldn't have been very cool. What always cracks me up about these live broadcasts is I feel like I'll get into a situation where I'll look down at the timing and go, oh my gosh, I've been on here for 5 minutes. And then I look down and I've been on for 20 and it feels like nothing. So it's one of my favorite things to do. I wish I could just do this daily. This would be fun, just to kind of get on here and talk to the people that I know. So, like I said, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to just type them out below. This is um this is what I get to do in lieu of working and making a video. I get to hang out and watch it rain. I think my wife is so the way that our house is set up, just kind of like if you guys have seen the videos, awesome. But like I said, I'm up in the 2-bedroom apartment upstairs. We don't have anybody staying up here now, so it's basically been my retreat. My quote unquote office is just the island, and it is full of ridiculous cords and equipment for me to do all of this stuff. And then right below me is the kitchen, but between the courtyard and the pool, our house is broken up so much. So when you walk in to the very front, and you've got, the entryway, of course, but then the media room, the laundry room, and stuff like that. But then the courtyard completely separates both kids' bedrooms. So they walk out, and if it's raining, they walk out into rain. Because then you walk into the kitchen area, and it's its own pod. So it's basically just like a bunch of pods, but it's a whole house. And the funniest one to me is my wife, because she sent me a message a few minutes ago before I started this, and it had just started kind of sprinkling, and she was like, I want a beer, but I have to walk back and forth. So I saw her just kind of run one way and run back the other way. So the master is the worst one because it's way in the back. It's the furthest back of the property. So it's on its own, which for us is very nice. But if you're trying to get something from the kitchen, you better bring an umbrella because it's not going to work out very well. But this has been awesome, and especially up here, I'm actually kind of jealous of the people that are going to be staying here because we have a few family members and stuff like that, and they've got their own completely covered patio right there. We have one below in the kitchen, of course, but we've got their own patio here. It kind of looks out over the pool. Everything's nice and dry outside of one cushion I'm seeing out there, but they just get to be on their own, chilling out, relaxing. And I'll have kids screaming in my ear half the time. So, it's what you sign up for when you have kids. But the silence is kind of nice. I'm rocking this. And this unit, you guys probably saw when I twisted the camera the other way. It's neat too because it's got its own kitchen. It kind of looks out over the courtyard. Both bedrooms each have their own full bathrooms. This one has a giant patio out from it. And then the bedroom here connects to just the main patio that overlooks the pool and everything. So again, when people ask me if I continue to recommend Henry, he builds a great house. Like there's no doubt about that. But the thing that I try to explain to people is like I invest, or I should say invested. I'm not currently investing in a place now, but I've invested in properties. I've done rentals and flips and all kinds of different things. And I've designed those flips. And we have to tear it down to the 2x6s and 2x4s that houses are, that are on the outside of these houses. I'll renovate the entire structure to give people what they want. The most famous example that I have, we had this house in this kind of weird neighborhood in Belton, Missouri. It's kind of on the Kansas-Missouri border, just south of Kansas City. And it's this little bitty house. It's probably it's probably about as big as this unit. So not very big. But when we got it, it was a nightmare. The kitchen was everything was just horrible in this house. We renovated the whole thing, but I laid out where I wanted. They didn't have a washer dryer. They didn't have HVAC throughout. They had like a heat, like they had the furnace, but they had like window units for AC. I rebuilt the entire thing, put everything in there. And so when we got into this house, I was ready to kind of look at it as a gut job and just see what the perimeter was. The moment that Henry put his mind into what this place could be, I realized I just needed to step back and say la vie to any of my ideas. Because what he was able to do with this place, I can't even believe we're sitting in what looks like. I mean, to me, this is an ingenious build. The only negative for me is that at times he would come to us like on this patio out here. He came to us and was like, so what we could do is expand it a little bit. And then we run into an issue and say, what we could do is expand it a little bit more. And I'm just like, okay, just take the money. It's fine, no worries. But again, you get over it because you walk in and it's a beautiful place. So Tim, what's up? Don't know how to send pics on this, but I just finished installing 12 semicircular umbrellas along the patio wall so I don't have to walk in the rain too much from the bedroom to the main house. Good call. Good call. And I don't think you have the ability to send it on this, but you can always just send a text to me and I can hand it up to the thing here. I won't put your username or anything like that. 28 meters apart. There you go. All right. Row, not a toe. That makes more sense. I was wondering what you were saying with a toe, but I just figured that maybe there's a term that I don't know about, so it's all good. Man, I just got to be honest. Just being back here is so awesome. I mean, the when we went to Bacchus last night, we went to Progreso, and even the days that we just kind of have hung out and chilled, like today, obviously, it's just been nice to be here and be back in the city. You know, where we live full time in Kansas City, it's very much a suburban neighborhood. It's the, you know, it's not one of the McMansion neighborhoods where every house looks alike, but it's not too far off from that either. We got a great community, good neighbors, but there's something to like being able to take the kids out and going to the market and having them see, you know, just the different culture, the different interactions, and that kind of thing has, I don't know if it's really caught them yet, but I know as my kids grow older, it's going to be something that's really positive. And, you know, the one thing that I have to make sure that I talk about with them constantly is, you know, we find ourselves in a very privileged lifestyle. And I don't use that word in the political terminology of today that people use it in, but just knowing like not everybody has this situation, but also take advantage of the situation as much as you can in that you're putting yourself out there, you're learning. I've told the story 100,000 times at this point, but one of the saddest things I've ever seen with one of my kids, and one of the things that I thought was incredibly important, was when we went to the mall the first time on our very first trip here, and they were playing on a playground, and my oldest son kind of ran away from the kids that were playing because he thought that they were ignoring him, like they didn't want to play with them, they were just being mean. They were just speaking a different language, but he'd never been in that situation before. So once I explained to him, no, they're just speaking a different language, he got like, you know, big smile, and he just went and started playing again. It was like, they're not mad. They're not making fun of you. They just don't speak your language. And I think the more that you can get kids in those kind of environments, probably the better off that they're going to be long term. So just long random thought. Tim, big fingers, little buttons. Yep, that's what it's like. Every time that they build a new phone, it's going to be the same thing anyway. So no worries, man. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff. So when we first got here, obviously there was kind of the letdown of, oh, it doesn't look new anymore. We've had a couple of different instances happen where I've been a little, I'm not gonna lie, I've been a little frustrated with the general upkeep, if you will. And I don't know if it's that people didn't see things or they weren't looking for them, but we've had a couple of like stains here and there. Not a huge deal, but one of those things like if we don't know who did it, that means I have to pay for it. One of the weirdest ones is we have these metal hinges. We have glass doors for like bathrooms and stuff. And and they're these metal hinges and they're holding up really big glass doors. And so when you open them, there's a lot of weight there. But in every other bathroom, completely fine. No big deal whatsoever. In our master bathroom, these giant glass doors, the hinges have like melted and bent to the point where right now in our toilet room in our master, or the water closet, it's one hinge holding up this ludicrously heavy glass door. And so I've kind of got it wedged to where it can't move. But I'm like, I'm looking at the situation. I'm going, one, like, obviously it could just be a bad set of hinges, not a big deal. I don't know what happened, so I'm not going to blame anybody. But we've been here a little over a week now. Nothing. So I'm getting a little frustrated, and I let it get to me 2 nights ago when something else happened, which actually wasn't a huge deal at all. But it was just one of those, like, I need you guys out here fixing stuff, and we need that to happen now. So if I don't hear anything from 5 o'clock or at 5 o'clock this evening or so, just know that you don't want to be the people that I'm communicating with, because I'm probably going to be in a bad mood. Again, I've been in these situations before. It's not a big deal, but it's just something to think about. Again, we've had great communication. We've had a great, time getting rentals and stuff like that. Everything is honestly, if you think about the fact that it's been lived in and it's not brand new, it looks fantastic. It's very well maintained. All the things that you need to be maintained on a consistent basis, things like the pool, the fountain, all the, floors, the walls, the windows, everything looks amazing. But stuff like that, I just kind of look at it and, I kind of roll my eyes and go, okay, okay, let's get this solved because daddy's getting a little frustrated here. But, you move on, you deal with it, you continue, and that's just what it is, I guess. But here we are. We're still in Mexico, we're still in Merida, we're having a wonderful time. We've got everything set up. There's a lot of thunder, but it's all good. So, for those of you who didn't watch the most recent video, not the Mr. Beast Burger short, which I got some hate on, by the way, but the actual video where I was talking about the Progreso day, let's talk about that for a second, because that to me was, we never stayed overnight in Progreso. Now, we stayed in Wymatune, which is about 15, 20 minutes away from Progreso, so we'd stayed during the day, but we never stayed for a night. So we didn't really know what to think about it. It was awesome. They are building like crazy. The place right next to, I think there's a place open right next to Hotel Playa Linda. If not, then it's close. But there's a place right next to it, and then an even bigger place next to it. And it looks like they're building some high rises there. And on the west side of the Malecon, it's blowing up like crazy. The Meteorite Museum, I don't know if that was the catalyst, but oh my God, it is growing like crazy, and just new restaurants, new bars. Some of the stuff that looks like it'd been, I say looks like, some of the stuff that had been in flux or had been kind of being renovated since we first started coming here, so 4 or 5 years, it's finally done. And it looks absolutely amazing. It feels like the west side is being completely rebuilt, and it's just slowly creeping to the east side. A little thing here, a little thing here, a little thing here. And so what I would tell you, if you are thinking about going to the Malecon and you're staying in Merida, I do exactly what we did. I might find a little bit nicer hotel. I got to be honest with you. Hotel Playa Linda was great for one night. If it was like my wife and I, it was a little tough with kids, because even with the junior suite, the room felt really like we were squished. And it's definitely just a beach hotel where you're there to sleep and maybe, bring some food home, eat it there, head back to the beach and that kind of thing. But I would think this is a really cool time to go see the Malecon, because you'll get to see it before a lot of these structures are done. And when they're done, it's going to look pretty crazy. Because one, the Meteorite Museum is obviously beautiful. Some of the new restaurants, absolutely beautiful. You've got the places that are like La Antigua, the Club Sandwich place. It's still there. It looks the same as it always has, but it really does seem like they are clearing some of the lots, and they're going to start building it up. And especially when you see all of the boats that are coming in, all the cruise ships that are coming in off that pier, especially now that COVID's done, people are wanting to get out. Those crowds are starting to get crazier and crazier. When we were there, the boat landed probably the night that we got there, and it was a Carnival Cruise Line, because you can see it, they're freaking huge. But it landed, and then the people came aboard the following day, and that area was insanity. Now, some of the people are going to get shipped into Merida, obviously, but a lot of those people are going to stay on the Malecon, and you just saw bus and van after bus and van getting in there, and that beach went nuts. So I would say right now, good time to go in, because I would guess 5-10 years, that place is going to look completely different than what it does right now. You're still going to have some of the old favorites. You're still going to have Crabster. I mean, I know Crabster's not an old favorite, but you're still going to have places that look the exact same, because that building is spectacular. But even now, you can tell once you're on the beach, kind of looking back, there's some construction going on there that's going to keep it crazy for quite some time. But enjoy it. I mean, I tell people this all the time who comment, and normally it's a negative comment, whether it's on TikTok, by the way, for those of you who don't follow me on TikTok, it's all the same videos as the YouTube channel, the shorts and stuff. But you know, help your boy out. But when I do stuff like that, you guys have probably heard the same terms that I have, which are you know, it's gentrification, it's colonization, or modern day colonization is normally what it's spelled out to be. But it's investment from within the area. I mean, there's some outside investment, but it's not a crazy amount. You know, everybody that I talk to that's here and actually on the ground knows that pretty much everybody that's moving in, they're emigrating, not immigrating, but they're emigrating from different parts of Mexico into here. And Progreso, I think, is that kind of, I don't want to say it's the next big thing because who knows what that is. But boy, when you're down there and you see all of the traffic coming into Progreso and you see that it's open again and you know the pier, it really does feel like in the next few years, you're going to see tourism pop off like crazy. And when you look at some of the numbers from the airport that they've increased so significantly, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for people that think it's bad news, but it does kind of feel like we're about to enter a period of time where people have discovered something really positive about this area, and we'll just have to see where it swings, whether it's Merida or Progreso. So just a thought process. Let me know what you think in the comments and all that kind of thing, or in the live chat if you're here. And also thank you guys for being here. And if you haven't yet, hit that like button. Very much appreciate that. And if you have any questions, again, we have a live chat right now. So feel free to participate in that. And if you're watching this after the fact, comment down below. I try to answer every single comment. One thing I do want to stress with the comment section, because, and I think I do this on almost every live stream, but while I have you here, when somebody comments on the comment section of this channel, I see the first comment, and then it's very rare that I see anything after that. So if you see a comment and then I answer and then you ask me another question, I rarely see that. I rarely see the follow-up. So just understand, I'm not ignoring by any stretch of the imagination, but 99 times out of 100, I only see that very first comment, and I try to respond to every single one of those. The only ones that I don't are ones where, you know, normally YouTube is pretty good about kicking them out anyway, but it's foul language. Like I was saying earlier, I've been called so many names that you can probably imagine that I just kind of ignore those things, or I put the little thumbs down button. I'm not above being petty by any stretch of the imagination, but it is one of those things where I'm watching this like, man, I'm just here to spread positivity, kind of show you the place, throw out any knowledge that I can. I'm here for the positivity. Let's just keep it to that. So anyway, sorry, that was my soapbox. I'm off it now. We're good to go. But I did also want to let you guys know, like, that's why if you don't see me re-commenting, that's why. In Progreso, D, what's up? D, is this the first comment that you've had? I don't think I recognize you. If I do, if you have been here, I apologize. But if this is your first comment, welcome and thank you. In Progreso, saw a lot of 60+ Americans. That's interesting. So I see a lot of people. That was one of the things, and it probably is day by day, right? So if I'm in Chelem or Chaberna, which isn't normal, I will definitely see like the 60+ Americans, because Chelem, Chaberna, those areas really seem to attract the kind of, you know, what is, when you picture an expat in your mind, that's who you kind of picture is the people that are retired, or at least are, you know, kind of just about to, and they're moving here, kind of that kind of thing. I see them there. I honestly didn't see a ton this last time in Progreso. I saw a ton of locals this last time, the first day that we went down, and then obviously the cruise line, I saw a lot of families and couples and stuff like that. But now that you say that, that would be an interesting experiment to go down there like Sunday to Sunday and just figure out like which are the days that you see the 60+ Americans and Canadians. Because I'm wondering if they just know, because I'm sure they do, if they know when the ships come in and they're like, I'm avoiding Tuesdays. That's when the ships come in. So that's interesting. Yes, first time here. Awesome. Welcome, D. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I love when new people come onto this channel. I've recognized a couple of new names on this one, and just being able to reach out and talk to you guys is fantastic. I know a lot of times hitting the chat button can throw you off a bit the first time, but I'm glad that you stepped out on here. That's fantastic. Charles Bexpat. Charles, sorry, I said Bexpat. I should have figured that one out. Charles B, expat. Are Americans leaving due to the peso? Not that I have heard. That's a great question, though. So the way that the dollar and peso have kind of started to work with each other is the dollar is weaker against the peso. And for us, that actually worked out pretty well because we didn't tell anybody, but we transferred a lot of money from dollars to pesos while we were down here last time. And they are under a good safe. We'll just say that. But so we got lucky because we did that last year and things have gone into a very interesting scenario. And I'm not going to get into the economics of the whole thing. But as far as leaving, I have not seen that. I definitely have noticed that prices in some areas have increased a lot. I always tell people like imports and electronics and appliances, that's pretty much equal between the States and Mexico. It's the, you know, the food items and stuff like that that are normally cheaper. There is an increase, but so far I haven't noticed it in the shops and the local places. I've noticed it a lot when we did like we're not above doing the Walmart orders just because of how convenient they are, or the Rappi orders and stuff like that. I have noticed it in some of the bigger stores like the Sorianas, the Walmarts, the Costco's, what's it called, Bodega Herrera, in Progreso, like some of those places, Oxo, I've noticed it. But when you go down the street to the market, if it's increased, it's nothing that I've been able to notice that's ludicrously significant. But I have seen on a lot of the like Facebook groups that I follow that, yeah, people are definitely complaining about it, but I don't think that the cost of living has significantly switched so much where it's causing people to leave. It might make people that were thinking about here start looking in other places, but I think that inflation has affected the economy of pretty much everywhere so much already that an increase in price, even with the dollar compared to the peso, isn't the thing that's going to either stop people or make them move, if that makes sense. D, they were all eating on the Malecone. Oh, yeah, well, me too. I always noticed that, so there was a place called the Milk Bar, which was an expat place, and now it's Michoacan. It's like an ice cream place that my kids stopped in. I just whistled with my front teeth. That was interesting. But I did notice, like, man, I noticed a lot of, again, families, but I didn't notice the age. I would be really interested to see like which days were the ones that, you know, some of the expats that are older came in, because I guarantee they got it locked down when they don't, quote unquote, don't want to be there because people come off the ships. Because I know that's a big thing because I hear about it all the time on some of the other groups. But that's an interesting look. I really want to check that out. Give me some info, D. We got to figure this one out. I really do want to know because that's going to be curiosity killed the cat, but I am interested in it. Charles, awesome. I currently live in Plaza. I apologize. My contacts are going crazy right now. Plaza Tijuana, but relocated to Merida or Querétaro in the next 6 months. So here's something interesting, Charles. So you guys probably have seen, if you follow me, you probably have been recommended. I can't remember what her name is now, but there was a couple that, give me 1 second. I don't want to say the Tangerine Travels. That's what it was. I didn't even have to look it up. Tangerine Travels is one of the more popular videos because it used to be a couple. Now the guy kind of took it over. And then Maddie, and I can't remember what her channel is, she did her own thing and her channel has grown significantly as well. Not as big as when they were both together, but for a new channel, pretty good. But they were, or she was, I am so sorry, this is gross, but my nose is driving me nuts too. Something's growing. But Maddie and the guy, I can't remember what his name was, but they were in Querétaro or were moving there, something like that. And I became really interested in that area because it seemed like the climate was really nice. Now, we had obviously bought this place already. It's not like we were going to move, and we love the area, so we're not going to change. But I would be really interested to see the difference in pricing between Merida and Querétaro simply because I feel like they are really close in the type of cities they are. And if that offends anybody, I mean, honestly, I don't care at this point. Everything offends everybody. But I'd be really interested to see what the pricing difference was between them because I feel like Querétaro is more, it's more known, but I think it's on the same level of known as Merida, if that makes sense. It's like there are towns that are not known at all. There's San Miguel de Allende and Cabo San Lucas and part of Vallarta and places like that. And then right in the middle there, I feel like it's kind of Querétaro and Merida. So I'd be interested to see what the difference was. I like Merida, and everybody talks about the heat and that kind of thing, obviously. But man, I go to Lake of the Ozarks in the summer. I'm in Missouri, which is actually hotter right now than it is here in Merida. So it's not like I'm not used to the heat, but I do get when people are like, "Man, that's a lot to commit to." D was back in early March. Oh, it was back in early March. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So May is the hottest month, so March would have been the tail end of kind of the travel season. So that would make a lot of sense that there were some expats that were hanging out there. By the way, if you ever decide to come down, for those of you listening that are not living in or thinking about permanently living here, we came down not last year but the year before, the week between Christmas and New Year's, and by God, that was a glorious time. The weather was like 80, 85 degrees during the day, had a breeze, it was 70 at night. My wife had to put a coat on for the first time in Merida during like nighttime. She's always very cold. I don't know why, but that was a glorious time to be here. Right now, it is hot as can be, but if I'm in Missouri or I'm in Merida, it's the same exact temperature. So, I'd rather be here. My boat is in Missouri. That's the only thing that I really, truly miss outside of my dog. Charles B. Expat. And for those of you wondering about my dog, he is with my niece, who is a veterinary student. So my dog is good. He's probably getting treated even better than he would if I were there spoiling him. Just letting you know, he is used to it at this point. I wish I could bring him, but he's 13 and a half years old. He's a border collie. He's kind of on his way out. So we felt like better scenario, but I miss that guy like crazy. Charles B. Can I find a decent, fully furnished 2-bedroom apartment for about 800 USD a month? Here's what I'd do. One, I think that's going to be tough, but it all depends, like location, 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 right? Hold on just a second. Hey, buddy. Okay, can you go get mom, please? Okay, bring him up here. Sorry, guys, give me 1 second. I've got a kid that's going a little crazy. He sounds like he got hurt. Give me a second. Got to do that. Hold on, I'm back. Sorry, everyone. Mom showed up to save the day. We're good. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that's what it's like being a dad when it's raining outside and there's tile everywhere. I apologize for that. My youngest son apparently slipped somewhere, but his mom was running when I got there. So it's okay. Okay, somebody remind me. Let me look back. I think so. 800 USD a month for a 2-bedroom place. I think if you're gonna find something like that, you're probably gonna want to look at the south side of the city, like basically meaning below Plaza Grande, but it's gonna be tough. Like rents have definitely shot up, especially again, we were talking about earlier, USD to peso. But the one thing I can really recommend is go on some of the expat sites and talk to a few people, because they're going to know some of the more local places to go, like some of the more localized Facebook groups, meaning non-expats, but actually locals that are renting places out. And you should find a lot better deals. I mean, gringo pricing is 100% real. There's no doubt about it. So that would be my suggestion. I think that's going to be tough, to be honest. Not impossible. I mean, I've seen other places that are available, but if you go on the expat sites, they're pushing prices like crazy. So I would just say try to get in with some good locals, and the best way to do that is just to make a bunch of friends in the expat sites with people to know how to find those places. So that'd be my suggestion. I think you can do it, but it's going to be a little rough. Let's see. Sorry, I'm out of breath from walking 20 feet. Let's see. Ivan, what's going on? I'm disappointed with access to churros and San Mateo. That's fair. I mean, you get what you can. I like churros, but it is what it is. I think Paseo de Mateo, especially if you go there at night, you're gonna find something that you like. But yeah, here's the thing. Whenever somebody asks salty or sweet, something like that, I'm salt. That's my thing. Sodium is a big friend of mine. So I'm not a big desserts person. So I can't be there with you. I do like ice cream, but if I have ice cream, I prefer sherbet. So I apologize for the lack of churros, but we're gonna figure it out. Dina, what's up? Will you be hosting any meetup soon? Yes. Again, I needed a week to get down here and calm down. My thought process is I'd like to do something like Hennessy's or Eladio's. So I just need to get in communication with them so that I can get out to you guys. So if you guys don't mind, while I have you here, what is the best way for me to communicate with you guys as far as like getting a group of you together? Because we got several people on here. Is it better to do for those of you who have done the text messages, to send something out there? Is it easier to do something on YouTube where it's like a quiz or whatever it's called, a poll, to do a live stream to just tell you while I'm here? What's the easiest way to communicate with the most of you guys? Because I know some of you guys follow me on Instagram, some of you are on here, but I don't want to put something out there and then all of a sudden it falls short. I want to make sure that you guys know exactly where it is. So just let me know. Instagram, okay. Yes, meetup, German, awesome. Hey, German, you're back, awesome. Ivan, Instagram, okay, cool. Well, that makes it easy. So I've got Ivan on Instagram. I can definitely do that. That's easy. So if that's the case, just make sure that like keep commenting. For those of you who haven't yet, just let me know as many people. Insta or text, fantastic. So it sounds like Instagram's the way to go. That is my main jam. So that makes it a little easier. I think Hennessy's is probably the best place just because central location, everybody knows it, expat friendly, and it seems like it's got a good couple of areas. So if you guys have another suggestion, let me know. But when like we went to Katrine the other night, amazing place. I'd never been. I can't remember what was going on. If I was hanging out with my parents and my wife took her parents to Katrine and we went somewhere else, doesn't matter. But I'd never gone and I loved it there. But I feel like Hennessy's is probably the way to go. It's the place that everybody's kind of familiar with. Eladio's has like 40 locations, so I don't want anybody getting mixed up. But Hennessy's is there. So, oh, and Charles B, Tim just asked you a question on here too. Tim's awesome. If you guys have any questions, he's been super helpful, especially on these group chats or live chats. So, Charles, he's asking you a question. Feel free to respond back because he's going to be able to give you some good information. I guess I could ask Origin. They're like right next door. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. I could ask them and just be like, yes, I'm right there. That way, if I get introduced to a lot of you guys and I have a couple more drinks than I should, I can just stumble right on home. Zoe Cantina, local jazz club, amazing atmosphere. Okay, I'll take a look at that. I'm going to actually take a picture of that message real quick because I have to be honest, I've not heard of that place. But I'll take a look at it and see what's up. German, going to Katrine on Thursday with my girlfriend. Awesome. That sounds like a good time. I'm telling you, make sure you go late enough where it's dark because if you haven't seen it already, that light show that they do with that really cool skeleton in the background is super neat. I really like that. So, Dina, hopefully before next Wednesday. Good call. I know I'm having to balance people's schedules because I know that one, I had to get something in, and then two, trying to make sure that everybody's like good and all the stuff that we're trying to do. So maybe, maybe weekend, maybe like Saturday, maybe Saturday afternoon or something like that. We figure this out. I will definitely put it on Instagram though, since that's where everybody's talking about it. And for those of you who are just here, please feel to like. I'd appreciate that. And also, we're talking right now about where to do a meetup for all of the group, like the YouTube people and Instagram, and just pretty much everybody that's part of this channel. So if you have a thought or suggestion, type it in the live chat. Let's see. Hopefully before Wednesday. Yep, got that. Charles B, looking for 1 year. Awesome. Charles B and Tim, you guys do your thing. LECP, hey, what's going on? It's good to see you here. You're in Mexico? Very nice. I assume, are you in Mexico or Mexico City? Every time I see MXMX, I always wonder. Chiapas. Okay. Tomorrow we'll go to Tabasco. Very nice. Man, you're traveling the world. Or traveling this country, I guess. That's awesome. Hopefully before the 14th, going to California. Okay. And it is the 1st. Okay. Hold on just a second. My wife is informing me about the kid that got hurt a second ago. 2 seconds. Okay. Sorry if I missed it. You back in January. I'm hoping that we're back in January or December. It'll all depend. So last year we were planning on coming down here over the holiday weekend, probably leaving December 27th, going back January 31st or December 31st to January 2nd. We didn't end up getting to do that because my wife thought that a trial would settle and then it didn't. So we were stuck not being able to get down here. But that will not be the case this year. So hopefully we'll be able to get down during that period of time because it's an amazing time for the weather. We'd actually be able to stay in our house. And yeah, so we're hoping to be down for sure. January. What do you like about Merida? D, what do I like about Merida? That is a long answer, but I'll sum it up in a bit. Merida to me, if you can handle the heat, that's the big caveat, right? Like if you can handle the heat, Merida is the most convenient non-tourist city that I've ever been to. Now we've been to Costa Rica, Italy, been all over Mexico, been to Portugal. Lisbon is a pretty good example of one of these two where there's a lot of convenience there. But Merida to me is one of those cities where when people, especially somebody like my wife, wants to go somewhere, they want to feel a place that's authentic. They want to travel to a place that doesn't feel like a tourist trap. When you go to Cancun, especially when you're in the hotel zone, you might as well be in Miami South. When you go to part of Vallarta, some areas of that feel the same way. To me, it is a place where you actually feel like you can go and live and you have conveniences that you would want long term that make life easier, but aren't necessarily just built around, the idea of it being an America South, a United States South. What do I mean by that? It's nice to be able to order from Walmart, go to Costco, and, watch a movie at the Harbor Mall, which feels a lot more like the States. However, the population down here that speaks fluent English is so diminished compared to most places that feel like they're set up more for tourists. So you feel like you get a true, Mexican city, a true foreign city, because I could talk about anywhere else in the world, but you also have the modern conveniences that would allow you to be down here long term. The internet is stable. The food situation is fantastic. Restaurants, there are a plethora. You can go anywhere in the city, and if you absolutely need an expat escape, you can head to Costco. You can head to Hennessy's and have people that are speaking English. But if you want to go down the street to the Chenbeck market and feel like you are in a true market, if you want to go to one of the mercados that are south of Plaza Grande, you truly are in a Mexican city. And especially with the Mayan, kind of flavor around here, where you have, not just the local eateries and stuff like that, but you've got so many tourist destinations, so many things to do. That's the positive about being in a larger city as well. So I know that's a very roundabout answer, and that probably covers 10% of why, but especially for somebody that's looking at being here long term, it is the ability to be somewhere else, the ability to go home quickly if necessary, not like you're planning on it, but if necessary, it's not across the Atlantic Ocean or across the Pacific, but also that you feel like you are actually living a different experience. And when you're down here, it's an amazing one. So that's my short, long answer. Let's see. Sorry, I'm catching up. German. Hope everything is going okay with your kid. He's doing good. I just got a message from his mom. It sounds like he slipped. This is the second time today that he's hurt his foot. So the tile down here, you can't really see it from here. Maybe when I twisted my camera. But we have this like really nice looking tile. It's not, I won't say it's local, but it's also not, it's produced in Mexico, but it's not from like down the street. But it gets really slick. If it gets like a drop of water on it, it gets slick. And we tell them all the time, like, you have to slow down, you have to slow down. But they're two boys, they're 5 and 8, and I'm sure he just kind of slid and hurt. This is the 5th time that they've both been hurt today. So I don't want to sound cold by any stretch of the imagination, but they do this all the time. So it's all good. But he is fine. And thank you for your concern. That's awesome. LECP, what have you been doing? Getting our house together, getting our mental stuff together. We've also gone to Progreso once. We've been cleaning around here. We're preparing for all of our guests. We're going to have about 10 days from the time that we got here until the time that our first guests arrive. And then from that point, we have guests the rest of the way through. So kind of getting that piece in, getting the groceries ordered and going around to the local places, getting a few nights off. We have a wonderful babysitter that's been here a couple of times, named Clara. She's been fantastic. So just kind of getting the place together. And then also this is the time where we're both trying to do a lot of work before the guests get here. So that's kind of the main crux of it. Tim, anyone who needs help finding a rental or looking for a reno house project, I'm willing to share my efforts. No charge, just me paying forward. Tim, you're awesome. Thank you. As usual, guys, contact Tim. He's fantastic. LECP, runs Trident. Chiapas is as cool as Mexico. Tomorrow we'll be checking Tabasco. Awesome. Let me know how it is. I wanted like crazy to go to Campeche this trip. I know that's none of the places you talked about, but I had like the place we were going to stay, what I wanted to do, and it completely fell apart because we had people that were saying they were coming down, saying they weren't coming down, and then all of a sudden at the very last minute, everything canceled. And by that point, I could either spend, 4 times the price to try to reserve something or count on it next time. So rather than do that, we got a trip to Uxmal and maybe 1 or 2 other places that we'll talk about later. But I was a little disappointed. I wanted to go there. The Mayan train is going to make it a lot easier, but thus is life. D, I was just in Chiapas, San Cristobal. It's really nice, but cool. We drove to Tabasco, which is really hot. Sweet. You guys are traveling all over the place. I'm very jealous. What's Tabasco like? Yeah, D, what is Tabasco like? Let us know. We got to figure this one out. Like to see more of my vids or D's vids? Because D's traveling like you are. The shorts have been interesting because, and I know that you're probably talking about the videos, you're talking about mine. The shorts have been interesting because it's just a way to get something out that doesn't take quite as long. But I love making the videos. This has just been it seems like we should have been relaxing and everything should have been going a lot easier, but it has just been really freaking busy since we've gotten here. I mean, trying to get everything together, honestly, just planning on more people being here has been kind of insane. So That's not what I was expecting, but that is what it is. So, like I said, wanted to go to Campeche. That would have been great. The Progreso trip was amazing. I can't remember if I finished my story on that, but, or, oh, I think I might have gotten distracted now that I say that. But when we went to Progreso, I just thought it was awesome. We talked about like the different people that were there and that kind of thing, different times of the year with D. But staying there at night was a really interesting scenario because you kind of got to see the street vendors take their stuff and leave, and then you got to see the locals kind of come out and walk the Malecone, which, by the way, at night is beautiful. That place lit up, and there was all kinds of traffic and stuff going on. There's ice cream shops. There's, of course, the Modelo Rama. How could you get away from that? But I mean, all those different places, the breeze in Progreso when we were there. Sometimes it does die down, but when we were there, it was absolutely magical. I mean, the temperature was probably 75, 80 at night, but had a, 8, 10 mile an hour breeze that was consistent. Put the kids to bed and just hung out on the porch and literally just like had a couple of drinks, walk, like listen to the waves roll in, listen to everybody just walk back and forth. There were some crazy noises, of course, because that's just Mexico and I love it, but it was very nice. So we have to do that again. Again, Playa, Hotel Playa Linda, I can't recommend staying there for more than like a day or two just because it is definitely a beachside hotel, but it looks like they're opening up a lot of different stuff. A lot of different stuff. So we'll see. This question may be a little private, but why don't you move to Merida? No, that's not private, LECP. So the reason that we don't move to Merida, and that's a really good question, and especially from somebody who makes videos about the place. We are lucky enough to have a really tight knit family, especially like, I don't want to say especially on my side, but I've always been very close with my parents. I have very few close friends. I've got, I know a lot of people, as you would probably expect from somebody who is crazy and talks like I do and that kind of thing. But I don't have a ton of like super close friends. My parents have always been some of my closest friends. They're not going to move down here. They're they do their thing, and we live 10 minutes away from them in the city. And my kids get to see them. I lost my first grandparent, who I called Papa, was my maternal grandfather. He was my favorite person ever. But I lost him when I was 9 years old. And so staying around grandparents is very important to me because I remember what it was like to lose somebody that you just felt so close to, even at such a young age. And I was lucky enough to have only lost my last one this year at 36 years old. Wasn't as close to her as I was to my mom's side of the family for many reasons that are private, but loved her to death as well. So the two that I was lucky enough to have them for quite some time on one side, just not the other. Pulling them away from that and their cousins and the other members of the family who will not go and that we see often, it's almost an impossibility. If we were somewhere, like if we had moved away from the family and we were in, I don't know, Charleston, South Carolina or something like that, and then we were trying to figure out if we were going to move to Merida, it wouldn't be 2 seconds hesitation. We'd already be down here. Because we are so close to all of that family, it's really tough to pull that away. So that's honestly the number one reason that we don't. There might be one or two others, but proximity to family that we are so close to, that's the big one. I don't want to say it would be selfish because I think there would be benefits to doing that, to being down here and seeing different cultures and that kind of thing. And especially to, without question, probably being fluent in Spanish in a year for those two kids, ludicrously intelligent. But that's the main reason. We are so close to our family that leaving permanently, it's kind of an impossibility for us. But it's not a private thing at all. I'm more than happy to talk about that. But that's the reason. Now, when they're in college and it's just my wife and I here, and we can kind of travel back and forth as we need because we're doing okay, that's a very different situation. But as of right now, that's the main one. So yeah, it's all good. D, Amazing Mayan City, waterfalls in that area. Love it. And LACP is asking where it's at, D. So we all are wanting to know. So let's figure this one out. I probably got about 10, 15 more minutes, guys. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the live chat. And if you are watching this after the fact, please feel free to comment down below and hit the like button. I'd very much appreciate that. And as always, feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Most of you that are here in the live chat have probably already done that. So thank you very much. But let's talk about that. I think that's the biggest one, like going back to LACP's question, the proximity to family has always been our thing, and it wouldn't be near as big of an issue if we weren't so close. But that being said, this room that we're in, my parents stayed in that one, and my wife's mom stayed in that one when they came down last time, and that's literally the reason. Like, not lying, not joking, not anything like that. The entire reason that this structure, this apartment exists, is because we wanted people to feel comfortable coming down here. They've got their own kitchen, they have their own living room, they have their own bathrooms and bedroom and that kind of thing. So that's probably a good thing to think about as you guys are doing this. If you're in a situation like us where you do have family, the way that you're going to get them down here faster is by making sure you include them in their design. It is your house, without question. But if you're like us, a little bit more invested into it, and I might get them down here a little quicker. I know that's pretty much the reason that our parents are coming down as quickly as they do, because one, they love us, they want to be around the kids, no question about that. But it makes it, we're very independent people as much as we love each other and want to be close to each other. It's very nice to be able to tell them, like, good night, and they know they can come up here, have their coffee without having to like interact with a whole bunch of people right in the morning. So just a thought. Ivan, Mikalamar, and then yeah, book it. Mikalamar, and then yeah. Okay, give me a second. Is that to me? Let's see. Okay. Sorry, need to send a message to one person. Then I've got, again, probably about 10 more minutes, then we're good to go. D, Palenque, ruin ancient Mayan city of the late classic period, circa 600 to 900, common era, and what is now Chiapas State, Mexico, about 80 miles, 130 kilometers south of Ciudad del Carmen. Sweet. What is Michela Mari Lenya? I don't know. We're going to figure it out. Guys, like I said, if you haven't already, and I know that there are a few of you that are still here, please feel free to comment down below if you haven't already. I've been taking pictures of the places that you recommend, and it sounds like the number one thing that I'm going to do is get on Instagram and let you guys know wherever we are going to meet. So again, I'm thinking Hennessy's. I just need to reach out to them to make sure that they realize that they might have a crowd. But if not, we're going to figure that out too. So LECP, how's the Maya Train project going? Everything I hear, it's going great. So correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I researched this enough where it should all be in my head, but AMLO's term ends next year. And so there is a push to get everything done ASAP. What I have heard is that I think it's the northern side, so like through Yucatan and that kind of thing, that should be done by next year. So you'll start to be able to like access those areas. It's some of the southern areas where it kind of curls around the peninsula that might be later, and that's kind of the big concern. The last time I looked, that was the case, and I can't remember if Tabasco was included in that northern side. I don't think it was, but they basically said like there's going to be, based on what I gathered, about half of it's going to be complete by the time his term ends. If you talk to some people, it says even more than that. If you talk to others, far less than that. I know that in Merida, just north of here, that way, is Grand Park of La Plancha. And that park is going to be the place where a tram is going to go back and forth from the Mayan trains area, or from the Mayan trains pickup. And once that's done, you'll have the tram going back and forth. If that's the case, based on everything that I've seen, early 2024 is when Grand Park of La Plancha is supposed to be completed. And based on what I've seen, if they keep the pace that they are now, that's likely. And if that's the case, at least the Merida stop will be ready. But I mean, honestly, your guess is as good as mine. I see so many different things from individuals, the government, everything. It's so tough to tell, but it does look like they're making a crazy amount of progress for the amount of time that they have. So hopefully good. But guys, hey, I just got a message. I need to kick off of here. Thank you so much for being a part of the live stream. Instagram at Alexander from KC. Follow me on that. And then once you see the announcement, I'll try to come back on here, maybe do a short video so that I can kind of tell you guys where we're going to meet. And then I'll post on Instagram as well. And pretty much everywhere else, just so you guys know where we're going to be. But my guess is Hennessy's sometime either on this weekend or early next week. And that should be where we're meeting. But I'm going to kick off of here. Thank you all so much for being a part of this broadcast. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That'll let you know anytime that I'm back here again. We'll do this a few other times. And as always, peace. And now I have to hit the end stream button. But still, peace. Love you guys.